Welcome to our world. Won't you come on in? Waiting just for you. Welcome to our world.
Wait. Did you also though see, because I was just singing Billy Joel, do you see that he is selling his Long Island house for $50 million?
No.
Which is a huge. Why do you look so shocked by this? Were you going to buy it?
I'm going to put an offer in on the house.
The big thing people are saying is that it's crazy because his whole life, and obviously I'm a huge Billy Joel fan, his whole life, like before he was famous and as he was getting famous, like a lot of his songs are about like rich people and all of that. And so it was just like the irony that now he's selling a $50 million house is just like.
He probably doesn't even care what they think.
He probably doesn't, and he shouldn't, because he what, are you trying to make a joke? You're trying to make a joke? Yes, you are. You know,
He's probably saying to himself, I don't care what you say anymore. This is my life. Go ahead with your own life.
Leave me alone.
Leave me alone.
See what I did there? Okay. Anyway, so today also we should have life. Okay, yeah, now you want to sing. Anyway, we should have a whole thing about Billy Joel. What's your favorite Billy Joel song?
Holy crap.
There's so many.
There are. I like so many of them.
Everybody Loves You Now.
I mean, I like
that
Allentown.
One. Everybody Loves You Now. You know that one? Let's also clarify that the best Billy Joel album is, and this isn't a Billy Joel episode, it's just because I was just singing this and his house and all that. The best Billy Joel album is Piano Man, Legacy Edition, Disc 2. Because I'm a real fan. Okay.
Now wait a minute.
Because I'm a
Keep in mind.
Which Everybody Loves You Now isn't even on that. It's on Cold Stone.
I
think. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I know. Yeah. Well, that's the one that, whatever. We could talk about this later. No one cares about this. Although you should.
There's so many of his songs I like, though.
I know. He's good.
Scenes from an Italian Restaurant. I like.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. I was listening to that the other day, and I was like, why was this not a bigger hit? Because it's such a good song. Anyway, okay. So today, on the same line.
Anyway, go ahead. I'm thinking of
that is a good one. You sing that sometimes. On the same line, similarly to Billy Joel, our subject today is grocery store.
Yeah, because Billy Joel does buy groceries.
No, he does. I'm sure he does not. I'm sure someone does that for him.
He uses the groceries that are bought for him.
Well, that part's true. Maybe.
I think he probably just goes to the store.
I don't know. Anyway, so this grocery store specifically was not the topic that was sent to us by a listener, who I'm not going to call out the specific listener because I don't know if they want to be called out or not about like these specific topics. So if you do want me to name you, I will in the future. I just don't want to call you out. Anyway, okay. But so a lot of the topics, it was like a group of topics, and they all had to do kind of with grocery stores. So I figured let's do a grocery store episode. So if you want me to give you credit, I will. And if you don't, then I won't. Okay. So first of all, I think it's crazy, which I didn't think about this until like 10 minutes ago. Grocery stores, I mean, obviously for us, they've been around, but grocery stores weren't even invented. Is that the right word? That's not the right word. They weren't even a thing until, do you know?
I know I've heard this before.
Let me look this up really quickly.
I know I've heard this before, but usually it was more like just general stores, right?
Well, yeah.
Like little neighborhood. Little
neighborhood joint. Okay, so there's the first grocery store to allow customers to serve themselves, because that was the other thing. Even when they had stores, you couldn't serve yourself. People did it for you.
Oh, I thought you meant like when people go and they just take an apple and start eating it.
Well, that too. So the first grocery store to allow customers to serve themselves was Piggly Wiggly.
Yes.
Which opened in Memphis, Tennessee on September 11th, 1916. 1916. Wow. So that was the first grocery store. So over 100 years
of
grocery stores right now. Okay.
Yep.
But it's crazy. And obviously, this sounds stupid saying it like this, because since the beginning of time, grocery stores are not like the biggest invention or anything like that. But it's just,
how do people survive before grocery stores?
What did people do before grocery stores? Like, what? You just you know what they did?
What?
I'm gonna stop you right there.
What?
The bartering system.
Okay, yeah, they bartered. I would like that loaf of bread. I'll give you
will
this
give
rock. I
Okay.
don't know.
Rocks weren't valuable. You don't know anything about the
Oh.
bartering system, and it shows. Okay. But yeah, so I think that's crazy that they've only been around for slightly over 100 years. If you look at, people show like the clock of time and like where we are now relative to the beginning of time,
Yeah.
and we're in like, I don't even remember.
It's like a couple seconds past midnight.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's insane.
Yeah.
And so you think about like just the past 100 years, that's nothing.
Yeah.
That's absolutely nothing in the grand scheme of things.
That's
But,
why.
like-
That's why I don't want to get too much off the subject, but that's why I
Okay.
always laugh when someone says, like something is the, I don't know, say weather, for instance, is the highest
Oh.
temperature of all time,
Yeah.
or whatever. It's like, what?
Yeah. Anyway, that was last week's episode. So yeah, I don't know. We just want to talk about grocery stores. We have some random topics to discuss. So I guess we'll get right into it.
Let's go.
one of
This
the
is so
subject-
exciting. Everyone.
Well, these are things though that everybody deals with. Everybody
Oh,
goes
yeah.
to the besides Billy Joel. Everybody goes to the grocery store, right?
Yep.
So the first thing is self-checkouts versus cashiers. Do you feel strongly one way or the other? Because people feel very strongly about this.
Yeah, I personally like self-checkouts. I know there are a lot of people that don't like self-checkouts, right?
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, I think it goes by age. I think a lot of older people
I think
don't
you're
like
right.
them. Younger people, I think for the most part, do,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm very young at heart. I love them
Okay.
because I just want to go. I can scan my own groceries, only because I did work at a grocery store, actually a convenient food mart. So I know how to check myself out.
And you never made a mistake while you were there, which was nice for you.
No, I set a record for.
Here's the thing though. How does that, because so self-checkout, first of all, shouldn't I get some kind of discount for doing part of the job myself?
In other words, you're saying, hold on.
Okay, he's clearing his throat, but I'm right.
Okay.
Though.
In other words, you're saying, obviously that's saving money for the store.
Yeah.
So it saves money for the store.
Why doesn't it save money for me? That doesn't show up in lower prices.
Well, yeah, but I think here's the key to that. It does, but not directly. Because if you all of a sudden said, and it doesn't matter how you would, it does matter a little bit. Okay, if you said you will save 2% if you use the self-checkout, right? Maybe people would be okay with it, but I think a lot of the people who don't like self-checkout would be even more upset now that they have to pay more, right?
Well, you're not paying more, though. You're paying the usual amount.
I know, but I don't think they would see it that way.
Well, it's not about how you see it. It's not subjective at that point. It's completely objective. You're paying the regular price if you go through a regular, not self-checkout, a regular cashier.
Yeah.
And if you go to self-checkout, you're doing part of the job, so you should get a discount.
Before the days of self-checkout, I would always try to go. There were two criteria. I would either go to the shorter line or the more attractive cashier.
I can't even deal. Okay. All right. Well,
The problem is,
there were like 12
usually they
things.
had the longer line.
There were like 12 things that just passed through my mind right now that were inappropriate to say, so I didn't say them. I do, though, because you just brought up lines, because I love bringing economics into things. So, which I never, this is so stupid because obviously I'm blanking now. I always forget what this theory is actually called. But it's the theory that if you're in line at the grocery store, you see two lines of like pretty equal length. And so you pick one because you got to pick one. You pick a line, you picked the wrong line, and the other line you see is moving faster now.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're like, oh, I should have picked that line, and it's still moving faster, and you would have gotten through already, but now you're still like stuck. But instead of moving to the other line, even though if you still moved now, you would still get through faster than if you stayed in the line you're in. People still stay in that first line because they've committed and they're like, well, I don't want to waste all this time that I already spent in this line, which is the dumbest thing. You're still saving yourself time.
What is that called?
I never
it's
remember
like sunk
what it's
cost.
actually.
It's like sunk cost. It's the same. It's a different.
Sunk cost.
No, I know, but it's the same concept, right?
Yeah.
It's like if you have something a project or something like that you've put a huge amount of money into, right? And it's already way over budget and it is not worthwhile anymore. You still think to yourself, well, if I spend X number of dollars more, at least I'll get something out of this versus just taking the loss, going home. It's the same thing. It's the same concept.
Yeah. I tried really hard to Google what this was, but I definitely didn't Google this correctly. But there is a specific economic theory that relates to this. And so the whole point of the theory is you should not stay in that first line just because that's the decision that you made. Right. If you made a decision and you realize it was the wrong one, no matter how much time, effort, money, whatever you put in, you should switch if you now know that it's the wrong decision. And I feel like, not to make this whole thing, obviously, but that's such a good life lesson that I feel like the majority of people, they'll just stay, whatever it is, in career, in a relationship, in school, whatever. You've decided I put this much effort into this and it's too late to switch, so I'm not going to switch. I'm going to put all my attention on this, and that's the wrong thing to do.
It's like if you go down a certain aisle in the parking lot because you think there's going to be a parking space there, like somebody's getting ready to pull out or whatever. And you get there and they're like doing their hair or something. But a lot of times you'll still sit there thinking, no, if I wait just a minute more, they'll pull out. And then you honk and they're still not moving. And you put a hook on their car and you try to tow them out.
So I think I'm like, why? Why do you always have to do this? I think self-checkout, it's funny because when self-checkout first became a thing, despite my friendly demeanor, I'm very antisocial, not antisocial. I'm an introvert in a lot of ways. I like my alone time. Anyway, we don't have to get into all this right now. But so when self-checkouts first became a thing, I personally loved that because I didn't have to talk to anyone unless I was buying something like NyQuil that required someone to come over and verify that I was 18 or 21 or whatever. But yeah, I liked self-checkouts in the beginning. And I mean, now if self-checkout's an option, I'm still going to choose it. But I'm saying because keep in mind, there were a lot of issues when it came around as a thing because people were saying, well, what are they not going, or are they firing people because now they have self-checkout? Are they not going to hire as many humans now because they don't even have, you see all these memes about how Walmart has 50 lanes and they only ever have 2 open to begin with. And then now you have all these self-checkouts. So how many jobs are we, human jobs are we taking? And this isn't an AI conversation. It's
no. I'm not talking about AI. I'm talking this, and I know this is not about this either. But it comes back to the conversation of, a company is not in business. If you open a business, you don't do it because you think I'm going to give all these people jobs. People don't do that.
True.
People do that if they're in a nonprofit. So you're going to try to do something, basically the most efficient, I guess you would say, possible. Now, it doesn't mean you go the other extreme and you're just like this heartless, horrible person. Or if you think you can save 5 cents a week, you're going to fire somebody. Yeah. Some people would, but hopefully it's not McDuck. Too. Yeah. I
think it's kind of though, and I mean, obviously I can't think of a specific example, but I think in my mind, people would be complaining about, say, someone had worked at a grocery store for 10 years or something, and then self-checkout becomes a thing, and they wind up getting laid off because they're not necessary anymore. So it demonstrates kind of going back to what we talked about with our job search conversation about company loyalty and about, does that even matter in a situation like this? It should, but it doesn't.
Right. I think still, and I know we already talked about that, but I think it depends on the company or the person or your boss, really. I would hope that if you have worked for a company and I'm saying been a good employee, right? Loyal for 10 years or 15 years, I would hope that they would think long and hard before getting rid of you. Now, they might turn around and say, okay, we're eliminating this position, but we have this position. We need somebody to, I don't know, stock the shelves, or we need somebody to work in the deli, or whatever.
Well, that's what I'm
so
saying.
Anyway, but I know that let's move on, because I know this isn't
sorry.
about
So
that.
this was but I mean that was it. You don't have any other thoughts about
self-checkout, particularly specifically self-checkout? Well, the only other thing I was going to say is, really, normally what I do is, I usually go towards self-checkout because there are usually so many more, so they're faster.
Yeah.
But if I see like a cashier and there's like nobody in that line, I will go there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not, I don't have anything against going to an actual person, other than when that lady came on to me the one time.
Okay. When you were buying gift cards for
when
Christmas?
I was buying like hundreds of dollars of gift cards, and like she assumed like, boy, this guy must have a lot of money.
Okay, moving on. I also really quickly want to take a brief moment to say that you should be kind to everyone that's working in stores.
This is subject 2, right?
Well, this isn't even on here. This is just something that I was thinking of right now, because I know plenty of people that have worked in store, and I'm not even talking about hospitality in general. I'm literally just talking about grocery stores and like retail stores.
Yep.
About you should be kind to those people, because I have friends and family that work or have worked in those situations. Awful stories of people that are just so rude or inappropriate, or just it's insane.
Here's the question.
Yes.
With those people, are they just bad people, or do they do this when they're like at a grocery store, or it could be a bank, or any place like that? Are they just, in other words, they forget that that is a person.
Yeah.
Right? They're not a servant. They're a person. They're there doing their job so they can eat, and maybe in a half an hour, they're going to be going home. Maybe they're going to be going to some other store or whatever to buy something. Like, so I'm wondering, when people are like that, are they only like that when it comes to when they're dealing with, like I said?
No, because here's the thing.
Or are they just rude people?
I mean, maybe this is kind of like pessimistic of me to say it like this, but I think rude people are just rude people. I don't think it matters who they're talking to, because here's the thing. If you're rude to the grocery store worker and not to, like, I don't know.
Could be any worker though, right?
I know, but I'm saying, if you're I'm talking about people in general. No, I'm talking about stop trying to put words in my mouth. I'm talking about on a larger scale. If you're mean to the cashier, but you're nice to like Meryl Streep, you're not a nice person.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
So it doesn't matter. So if you're rude to the cashier, if you're rude to people, I've had, and this isn't about me having worked in hospitality or anything. This is about, like, I've obviously had bad days in my life where I then had to go and interact with people, like where I went to the store, or I had to like go do something, some adult task that I had to complete, the bank or something. Yeah. I wasn't mean to those people just because I was having a bad day.
You didn't project on them then, right?
No, because how is that fair to them? It's not their fault I'm having a bad day.
Well, and here's
so
the
they're
thing.
just mean people, I think.
I mean, most people who I think have jobs at one point or another held that kind of a job.
I disagree.
Right? You really think? You think a lot of people just go and they worked in like in a factory or whatever, and never had to deal with the public?
Yes, because having interacted with, and I've had a ton of jobs, including at Disney, which again, maybe we'll talk about someday, in a bunch of different roles at Disney. The amount of people I interacted with that clearly had never learned simple service skills, insane.
But how old were these people?
Adults. I'm talking about
so it wasn't
adults.
their first job.
No.
Was it their second job? Third?
No, we don't have to get into all this right now. Anyway, the point is, be nice to these people.
Right,
they're just people. They don't want to. Whatever.
You know already, because we've talked about this in the past.
Yeah.
I despise people like that.
I know.
I mean, to the point where if I'm there, okay, I've never gotten like physical with someone.
Oh yeah, you should tell that one story though. Wasn't that at a grocery store?
Well, it happened. I mean, there are multiple things, but the one I remember is, and I don't even know what was going on. It was at Walmart. Okay, everyone's favorite grocery store, but no, it was at Walmart. And I got up to this, and funny thing was, it was at the self checkout, and this lady, the there was a manager had come over, and there was the person that the attendant there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the issue was, but this lady was being so rude, okay, and yelling at these people, and they were doing nothing, right? It's like they have their job, they're trying to do their job. They can't yell back at her because they need the job, right? She was being so ridiculously rude, and everyone was just looking at this lady, and I got so mad. I just yelled, "Will you shut up?" Okay, and the good thing is,
anybody there with
the good
you?
thing
Were
is,
you by
she
yourself?
did. I was by myself. Yeah,
That's
I was
so
by myself.
sad.
There were other people all around, obviously, and everything.
No, but I mean like a family member that could corroborate this.
Oh yeah, no. But you
story.
know, I wouldn't make that up.
No,
If
I know.
Put it this way: if I was going to make it up, I would add some more to it.
You would embellish a little bit.
But the good thing is, she pretty much didn't. She left then, you know.
Yeah.
But it was just so annoying. First of all, it was so selfish. Okay, it was mean to the workers that were there, that were doing nothing wrong. It was mean to everyone around her, because all of a sudden it was like, nope, the focus had to be completely on her.
Yep.
You know, it. Oh man,
you pretty much made a citizen's arrest.
Yeah, if I could have, I would have. But I think part of that, and it doesn't only go back to this, but obviously I've heard stories from family members, including you, of just people that are just ridiculously cruel and rude and just selfish, and like, that kind of like, do you know who I am attitude.
No,
it's
stop.
like,
I'm triggered.
Yes, I know who you are. You're obviously a jerk.
Yeah.
Okay. And
anyway,
obviously I get really mad.
No, I know. And I'm just going to stop you here because that was a good story, obviously. But like I said, in the future, we'll have probably at least one episode about my time at Disney, in which case I know you'll have a lot to say. So I think we should save some of that.
That will be probably a multi-part episode, though, because
of I know.
No, you had a couple, numerous things that happened, both good and bad.
Anyway, so we're moving on back to the subject at hand, the grocery stores. Okay, so our next topic for grocery stores. How do you feel about the paper versus plastic bags debate?
Here's the thing.
Oh no.
When last time when we were in Philly, they at Walmart, I think it was, they had like the bags that they have there.
Those were plastic.
They're plastic, but there's some kind of biodegradable plastic.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, okay, that's awesome. That's perfect, right?
It's nice plastic. I
like that room. Because here's the thing. Everybody the plastic bags that they have here,
they're weak.
They're not biodegradable. Yes. Most importantly, they're just cheap and all that.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. And we do this every time when we have stuff from the store, we check the bags. If there are no holes in the bags, we keep them and we use them for stuff. So it's not like used once and then thrown away. So we recycle them. Well, now only one time probably, but still.
Which I think is good. And I think probably a lot of people don't even do that. And maybe this is kind of like we had talked about last week with climate change and propaganda and all this. I've just seen a lot of videos and images of how plastic bags just wind up like in the ocean, and then like marine life dies by either getting trapped in a bag or trying to eat a bag and it getting like lodged in their system and all this stuff. And so I feel like, and I didn't look this up. I don't know the cost of paper versus plastic for companies to produce it.
Right.
But I just feel like it can't be. I don't know. I think we should just use paper. I just think it's
no. Well, because I was going to say, here's the
thing.
Or
don't use anything.
I think there has to be. I think there has to be some kind of like a reasonable in between that everybody can agree on, right? And this is getting a little bit off subject because we're getting into just recycling and stuff overall. But like, for instance, with straws, right? A lot of places banned the regular plastic straws, and they replace them with these crappy cardboard type things that are like.
That was also another point in this.
Those I think are horrible, right?
Well,
and I think to myself, it has to be. Well, yeah, maybe they're. Well, that yeah, no, that's what I was going to say.
Oh, okay.
Right. So I think there has to be some in between. I feel like, and maybe this this is maybe one of the good things about this country is you have some areas that go to one extreme and you have some areas that go to the other extreme, and hopefully you meet in the middle, you know?
Yeah.
Now you're going to have some states that are like ridiculous, that they're going to ban everything, like, you know, like we're going to die tomorrow if we don't do this. The thing with, like you say, you see videos of like marine life and all that. I always wonder, like, how prevalent is that? You know what I mean?
Here's the thing, though, and also on that note, with because I remember when I was little, there was a commercial. I don't remember if it was for like the ASPCA? Is that what the animal thing, or if it was just something random? I don't remember, about cutting your, like, if you got a 6-pack of Coke or something, cutting up the plastic so that, because sea turtles were dying and all this stuff. And so I have never, I mean, I don't buy 6-packs of things regularly, but anytime I do, or a family member does, I always cut it up into like little pieces because I'm traumatized. But I think on that note, I don't think it really, let's say that it's in the grand scheme of things, it's negligible. That out of, let's say there are a million, I don't know, I don't want to get too specific here, a million fish, okay? And that the actual like sample that they're talking about is only like 1,000, right?
Well, that's not a small.
Okay, well then say like 100.
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
that's what I'm saying.
A
A
small
very
enough
small
amount that it's like, okay, but there are a million.
Right.
But I still always feel with stuff like that, okay, but like that was something that you still could have prevented 100 fish from dying.
Right.
So why would you not prevent 100 fish?
The only thing I'll say, it depends. I think it depends what you can't look at it just one way or the other, is the way I look at it, right? In other words, and this is assuming there's an additional cost associated with doing the other thing. Like, let's say instead of the plastic for 6-packs, they could make something out of cardboard, but the cost was, and this is probably not a good example, but let's just say the cost was, 5 cents more per 6-pack. Okay. And now let's assume this was baby formula that was sold in a 6-pack, okay?
Sure.
I'm just saying. So it raises the cost now of baby formula.
It does. However, that's canceled out by your self-checkout discount.
Well, yeah, that's
so
true.
You're set.
That's true. I guess my point is, there's an additional cost, and you have to say to yourself, well, how does that additional cost affect society? There's a very small percentage of people now that will not maybe be able to afford that.
Okay, or instead you do what like Aldi does, or Sam's Club, or well, maybe Sam's Club doesn't do it because it's Walmart. Or I was just at Costco. Aldi, you can buy reusable bags there, or bring your own.
Right.
But if you don't have bags, you just take the cart out to your car and you put the stuff in your car. That's your choice. They don't have plastic bags. I don't think they have paper. Maybe they have paper bags. I don't think they do though. I think it's just like bring your own bag. You buy one of our reusable bags.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And I think the way they do it is a good way, right? Because it encourages people to do that.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they're going to have to pay it additional money.
So why not just have every system set up like that?
To me, what I like about that is that's free market.
All right.
Right? Versus the government saying.
The next topic is the credit card versus debit card versus cash, because some places charge you more for using credit cards. There's like a fee, like a transaction fee they call it, or whatever.
Yep.
So I guess my real question is, how do you feel about them stealing from us?
Who's stealing? I mean, it would be like American Express.
I was going to say, it's the credit cards. It's not the grocery stores.
I mean, it's one of those things where there's the convenience, right?
That's so stupid. What is that? Okay, it's the convenience fee. Yeah, that's what it's called. And it's like, how does this, and I don't actually know, maybe I should have asked my family member who used to work at a bank this instead, but like, it's convenience fee because it's easier for me. How does that affect you? Do you have to do something at the bank because I used my card for this transaction? This is an actual question because I don't know. Well, is it literally just a convenience fee?
No.
Does anything happen on your end?
There's a whole, look at it this way, there's a whole network that has to be maintained.
Well, I understand
to process credit card charges, right?
I understand.
So I'm not saying, like, if they charge 2.5% additional fee, which usually, here's the thing, usually the vendor pays more a lot of times than than you would pay if they're going to charge. That's why most times they don't even charge you anything extra, right? Like you go to Walmart, they don't say, well, we're going to charge you an extra 1% or 2% because you're using your credit card. But MasterCard, Visa, Discover, they all, American Express, that they have to pay them a fee, or actually the processor, one or the other. Maybe they somehow split the fee because they do have to maintain computers and a network and people that work for, to when you call, you have an issue with your card, you're calling somebody, you have to pay that person.
But then why not just I just feel like I don't know. It's in the beginning when credit cards and debit cards, which I don't know when they were actually invented. I could see the need for a convenience fee or some extra kind of fee because I feel like there was so much more effort that went into maintaining the stuff that you're talking about.
The big thing they brought out.
Yeah, right. Now, and maybe this is just me.
They call the president to authorize the charge.
Maybe this is just me being like a millennial and what's the word? Like ignorant to how society works. But yeah, they have this whole network that it runs itself at this point. There's not really, that's what I'm saying. There's not, but that's what I'm saying. If I pay for using my debit card for like groceries and there's a convenience fee, they don't process one by one. So there's not a person that's sitting over there that has to process my fee. And so I shouldn't, they either need to rename it because the name is just not, that's what's annoying me, I think. Or
don't call it a transaction fee.
Or just charge it to users in some other way.
I agree with you that for the percentage they charge is way higher than what their cost is.
There's no need.
It's
at
way
this
higher
point, in the beginning, maybe because of, all the different channels and all that stuff. At this point, there's no need.
Well, and you know what would completely solve this problem?
What?
The bartering system.
Yes.
Or maybe Bitcoin would too.
No. I was hoping you would stop.
Oh, I'm shifting my chair. All right. Are we ready? Okay. We're already live. Oh no. Speak. Darn it. Well, that one's garbage.